Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, respected faith leaders, community members, I welcome you all. We are honoured to gather here at the Parliament of New South Wales for the shared future. I am Ekta Sharma, and it is my great honour and privilege to be your MC for this very important gathering. Tonight is about one simple but a very powerful idea. Interfaith dialogue is not a luxury, it is a necessity. It is about listening, understanding, and building a future together. Before we begin, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to kindly ask for a brief moment of silence as a shared sign of respect and reflection. Let us take a moment to remember all those affected by the Bondi incident. Thank you, everyone. Now, beginning tonight's program, it is my great honor to invite our host for the evening, Warren Kirby MP, to deliver the welcome and acknowledgement to country. Warren is also representing Steve Kemper, Minister for Multiculturalism, Minister for Sport and Jobs and Tourism.
Well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome. Welcome to Australia's oldest parliament, the People's Parliament. We're very, very proud to host events here in the New South Wales Parliament and to make it as inclusive as possible as we can for people right across New South Wales to come here and access this beautiful building. I would also like to just make an acknowledgement, if I can, and turn my phone off, if I So we are on the lands of the Gadigal people here, of the Eora Nation, and I thank them for their custodianship of the land and the waterways on which we meet. And I do think it's important to recognise the traditions of our country and the original custodians of our country, because it also reminds us that every generation of Australians are migrants. Unless you can trace your heritage back more than 238 years, we are all migrants in this country, and we've brought with us different skills, different religions, different faiths, to all come together to create what I think most people will agree is the greatest nation on earth, certainly the most successful multicultural, multi-faith society on earth. And doing that recognition of country is just gives us a moment to reflect on that and remind ourselves of that. I'm fortunate enough to represent one of the most diverse electorates in New South Wales, not just in terms of demography of people that make that up, but also in terms of faith. And one of the things that is very, very clear to me is when I'm engaging with different faiths and engaging with different members of the community, it's incumbent upon all of us to start to look to the things that unite us rather than the things that divide us. And every single faith that I engage with speak about unity, speak about love, speak about looking after our neighbours, caring for one another, looking after our families. These are all admirable traits that each and every faith that I engage with talk about religiously. And I think that that's a beautiful thing. And while we may have differences on how the different faiths interpret the ways to achieve these things, we are all united in that sense of love. And I'm not going to lie, I am deeply concerned about some of the conversations happening particularly in federal parliament that are there with no other purpose than to divide us, to try and seek blame on a group of people who fundamentally had no choice in housing prices, in cost of living pressures, in all of the things that cause disaffection throughout our country. And it's very easy to point the finger of blame on migration, or to point the finger of blame on somebody that looks different to you or thinks differently to you. But I think it's incumbent upon all of us, in particular political leaders, to come together and recognise the strength that we do have in our diversity. And this is not just a catchphrase that should be thrown around. This is a genuine belief of mine and many of my colleagues here in State Parliament, that that is our strength, is coming together, uniting together in love, in support and in unity. And these are far more powerful than the voices of hate and division. So when I hear people talking about these words of hate, division and anger, and we see that through not just our social media channels but also through our what we have as traditional media channels, I get very frustrated, because these are not the most powerful emotions that we have, and we certainly cannot counter hate and fear and division with more hate, fear and division. The only way that we can counter that is through unity and through love. And so one of the things I give great credit to Indians in Sydney for bringing us all together here this evening to have a dialogue specifically focused on unity, specifically focused on love, and specifically focused on supporting one another. So I hope we all enjoy this evening. I hope each and every one of us gets something out of this evening. Thank you all for being here, joining us here in New South Wales Parliament, under the Greek goddess of knowledge above us, looking down and talking to us about the mother of wisdom and virtue is knowledge. So hopefully that's what we'll get out of this evening. Thank you for
Thank you so much, Warren, for setting the tone for this important evening. Moving forward to our political reflections, I would very warmly like to welcome our Premier, Mr. Chris Minns, to address the gathering and highlight New South Wales Government's commitment to interfaith collaboration for peace and prosperity in New South Wales.
Well, thank you very much, everybody. Thank you so much for having me tonight, and can I acknowledge the traditional owners as well, and just pay my acknowledgement to the leader of the National Party, Gurmesh Singh, and some of my colleagues who are here, Hugh McDermott and Warren, and the member for Oatley, Mark Coure, our old friends, Paul Cedric, Rabbi David, and there's a lot of people here, Donna. Oh, look, I'll name everyone if I keep going, but it's a real privilege to be with all of you in Parliament House for what is an important conversation. We have many conversations in this building, lots of vigorous debates about legislation. There's often disagreements about the government's legislative priorities compared to what the opposition is up to, but probably we should be having more forums like this where we can discuss things that we agree on and can actually advance civic and cultural and religious understanding in a place that is traditionally where we sort out our differences. Parliament House can't just be a place of debate and division. It has to be also a symbol of unity and progress. And I think that's exactly what Nadeem and everybody who's responsible for putting on this forum has done. When it was originally suggested to me in September of last year, it was off the back of some horrid racist comments and attacks on the subcontinent community, the Indian community of Sydney. And quite understandably, that community saw it as a direct attack on their family and their place in modern Australia. And there's an instinctive and important obligation to defend that community. And I think that was done by the civic leadership of Australia, but also by prominent members of the subcontinent community, the Indian community right here in New South Wales, Gurmesh included. But what I was really drawn to with this group is that in addition to that defence, there was also an opportunity to engage with other faiths through a dialogue and see if we can break down some of the walls of ignorance that existed in certain parts of Australian society through knowledge, through conversation, through this forum. So it was suggested in September, and it was a good idea then, but it became an urgent priority midway through December after the worst terrorist attack on Australian soil, the Bondi terror attack in December. And then what was a good idea became absolutely necessary. More opportunities for interfaith dialogue, more opportunities for conversation, a chance to talk up what Australia really genuinely is, a marvel for the rest of the world, where people come from different races and religions and yet live together, not just tolerating one another, where you accept the person who's living next door to you, but genuinely embracing parts of that culture and understanding that it's part of the lived experience in Sydney, for example. And I think Warren mentioned it a little bit in his opening address. There are people who are attempting to attack and divide our community on the basis of their heritage, which is not consistent with the facts. Because people who've come to our country, and I'll mention specifically the Indian Australian community, have come to this country with a sole and express purpose, and that is to make Australia better. And listen to some of these statistics. I'm going to keep saying these as long as I've got the opportunity as the Premier. The Labor participation rate in Australia, the national average is 65%. So 65% of people are in the labour market. Do you know what it is for this community? 85%. 85%. I mean, advanced education, tertiary education, 2/3 have advanced degrees, which is twice the national average. I mean, this is a group of Australians that have come to this country with, as I said, the sole purpose and intention of making Australia better. We're lucky to have you. It's so important for the future of our country. And it's important that civic and political leaders like myself and my colleagues from other political parties celebrate it and embrace it and say that this is part of Australia's future. It's not a mistake. It's not a bad thing that's happened. It's a good thing that's happened. I think it's also an opportunity when we speak about interfaith dialogue to also put an emphasis on the things that unite us, that are unambiguously part of the Australian experience and character. And that is democracy, and it is respect for one another, and it is freedom of speech, and it is respect for institutions like this one right here. Multiculturalism, part of multiculturalism's understanding is celebrating diversity and difference, but it's only part, because we're not just separated and divided and celebrating our differences. There are certain intrinsic characteristics to the Australian experience that we all want to be a part of. And sometimes I feel like government institutions don't talk about that enough, because when you go to ethnic functions and multicultural communities, you're pushing on an open door. They want to talk about their love for democracy as well. It's one of the reasons people came to this country, because they're celebrating freedom. And that has to be the flip side of the multicultural story in a place like Sydney and a place like Australia. So it's a privilege to be with all of you. I know that this is going to be a success. Thank you for letting me play a small part in it. And here's to many more conversations exactly like this one in the People's House.
Thank you, Premier, for your thoughtful reflections. May I please invite Kim over here to present a small gift to Premier as a token of appreciation, please.
Thank you so much.
Moving ahead, I would like to kindly invite Mr. Mark Curry to join us over here. Mark is also representing Kelly Sloan, who's unwell and couldn't join us today. Mr. Curry's inclusive vision has supported countless community initiatives, as we all know, and he remains a respected ally to culturally and linguistically diverse communities.
Well, thank you. Is that working? Can everyone hear me? Well, I don't need a mic, do I? Well, thank you very much, Edna, and thank you to my parliamentary colleagues. It's wonderful to have the Premier here today, to the Leader of the National Party, Gurmish Singh, to all our councillors, to our religious leaders. Thank you to each and every one of you. I too want to begin by acknowledging, of course, the traditional custodians of the land in which we meet today and pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging. I also want to acknowledge again all the faith leaders, the community representatives, the parliamentarians and the many guests that are here today joining us on this very important dialogue. And thank you for the invitation to be here tonight, Nadeem. I really appreciate it. Ladies and gentlemen, public life, as the Premier said, politics can become very noisy. Social media, as I said to my 12-year-old today, is very toxic, not becoming toxic, but very toxic. And communities around the world are facing uncertainty and tension. But tonight is something different. Tonight is about something different. Tonight is about what brings us together. And in a multicultural society, just like New South Wales, that matters enormously. One of our greatest strengths in our state, and I've said this many, many times before, is that people from every corner of the globe, in every world, across the world I should say, every faith, every culture, every background, have made and built a better life here in our great state of New South Wales. And as the Shadow Minister for Multiculturalism and formerly the Minister for Multiculturalism, I hope to swap again one day. Thank you. Who said that? Tim, thank you. I see that each and every day of my life. In the suburbs, right across Sydney, right across the St George area in particular, where I'm from, born and bred, and across New South Wales, you can see the diversity every single day. In our schools, you see it in our local businesses, you see it in our places of worship, you see it in our community festivals, sporting clubs, charities and volunteer groups. People from different backgrounds living side by side, not just tolerating one another, but contributing together as one. And that did not happen by accident. It happened because generations of Australians have made a conscious decision that respect, harmony and opportunity matter. And importantly, faith communities have played a very important role in the shaping of that future and the shaping of our culture. And we've got many faith leaders here today, priests, rabbis and church leaders. Across New South Wales, churches, temples, mosques, synagogues and other faith organisations do an extraordinary work each and every single day. And importantly, faith communities played a major role in shaping that culture. They support families, they've fed the vulnerable, they've helped migrants settle in Australia, they've provided counselling and youth programs and social support. Faith communities are often the quiet achievers in that social cohesion. And they remind us that compassion, service and kindness are not weaknesses, they are strengths. And as someone, as I said before, who's previously served in both roles as Minister and Minister and Shadow Minister of Multiculturalism, I've had the privilege of visiting many different communities right across New South Wales, hearing directly about the hopes people have for our great state and our great country. And regardless of culture or religion, their aspirations were remarkably similar. People want safety, they want opportunity for their children, they want respect, and they want to belong. And at the heart of it, people want peace and stability more so than ever before across our communities. And that is why interfaith dialogue here tonight is so important, because when communities talk to each other, barriers come down. Misunderstandings reduce, trust grows, and that trust is one of the most valuable things any society can have. We should never take social cohesion for granted. And around the world, we are seeing increasing division. We've seen it on our shores in our own country, but around the world, we're seeing increasing division, extremism, anti-Semitism, religious hatred, social fragmentation. And Australia, unfortunately, is not immune from these pressures. And that is why gatherings like this are so important, ladies and gentlemen. Not because everyone will always agree on everything. they don't or won't, but because respectful dialogue creates that understanding. A strong multicultural society, ladies and gentlemen, does not require people to abandon their faith or identity. In fact, our diversity becomes stronger when people feel confident in who they are and also in respecting others. And that balance is part of that Australian story. So, ladies and gentlemen, I truly believe multiculturalism in Australia has been one of our greatest success stories as a state and as a nation, a great success story as a nation. And one of the reasons it has succeeded is because communities, particularly communities in this room, have chosen cooperation over division. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's wonderful that you are here today in State Parliament. This is, in fact, one of my favourite rooms in this building. It is the old library. It's now a committee room. I don't know what the books are on the shelves, to be totally honest. Don't take them. That's my advice. I learnt from the member for Riverstone after 15 years in this place that, what did you say it was up there?
A Greek goddess of knowledge.
A Greek goddess of knowledge. Something I learnt today, and hopefully something you learnt as well. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for being here tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Curry, for your thoughtful reflections. May I kindly invite Ms. Melissa Montero to come up here and we can present a small token of appreciation to Mr. Curry here.
Can I just say, Melissa does a remarkable job in Western Sydney.
Yeah.
In the microphone. Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Well done. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Curry, for your time today. Up next, I would kindly like to invite Gurmesh Singh, MP. Gurmesh Singh is the leader of the Nationals in New South Wales and member for Coffs Harbour in the New South Wales Parliament. His presence at the Shared Future today underscores his ongoing dedication to multiculturalism.
Thank you and good evening, everybody. I would also just want to start by passing on the apologies of Kelly Sloan, Leader of the Opposition. She's gone home a little earlier today unwell. Otherwise, obviously, she would have been here with us today. Welcome to the Jubilee Room. This is not only the most beautiful room in the New South Wales Parliament, I think it's one of the most beautiful places to have a meeting in all of Sydney. Not only do you get to experience the smell of the history of the place, but I think it's also just aesthetically a really nice place to be. Thank you to Indians in Sydney for organising this event. I think it's absolutely necessary in today's modern climate. And of course, I want to welcome and thank our colleagues from across the chamber who have come here tonight to share in this wonderful event. I just had to leave a couple of minutes ago to deliver a private member statement, which I was very partisan in my attack on Labor, but I think in this room we can agree that we're here for a shared goal that stretches across the parliamentary aisle. So look, I'm honoured to be invited not only as a Sikh member of Parliament, but also as the member for Coffs Harbour and as the leader of the New South Wales Nationals, a position that I was elected to late last year. A little bit about me: I'm a third-generation family from the Coffs Coast. And my great-grandfather he arrived in Australia in the 1890s. And I'm not sure if many of you have seen those posters with Aussie written on them, or one of them is done for my great-grandfather with the orange turban. So if you see that one, that's my great-grandfather. I come from a little town called Woolgoolga, which is about 6 hours up the highway towards Brisbane. And growing up, it was a very small town, but when I left high school to come to university, it was a town of 3,000 people, so quite a small village, and it had the oldest continuous Sikh community in Australia. And we had not only the first Sikh Gurdwara, we had the first two Sikh Gurdwaras, because You know what happens in some ethnic communities? A lot of people who live in that area can trace their family back to the 1940s during the Second World War, because there were a lot of Italian families who grew bananas in that area at the time. And during the Second World War, the Italian men were taken off to Cowra because they were deemed enemy, Axis people. So a lot of the Indian men would work on those Italian farms during the war. And I've got a wonderful photo of my great-grandfather, obviously much older in those times, working with an Italian family. It's fantastic. But look, this story of interfaith doesn't happen everywhere in the world. I think we take it for granted here in Australia because it seems to happen so easily for us. But it is something that we need to continue to work on over and over again. When we discuss interfaith and multiculturalism, often we can do it from an abstract level, but we see here in Sydney, we see in towns like Woolgoolga, we see in towns like Griffith, we see in places like Cairns, places that have had these kind of dialogues going on not only for years but for decades, and I think that really shows in the societies that get built in those countries, in those cities. And how does it happen? It happens with gurdwaras across the road from churches. It happens with children playing together in soccer teams or cricket teams or football teams. It happens with kids in the same school. It happens with families working together in the same businesses or on the same farms. And that's not necessarily a policy. That's proximity. It happens when people work next to each other. They learn that these people aren't the other. They are just like us. And that's why nights like tonight are so important. I was asked to touch a little bit around the economy and how faith communities interact in our economy and why it's actually important. Especially regionally, a lot of faith communities make up a large portion of our economy. I know in the Riverina, for instance, a lot of people from the Italian background, Indian background have gone out there for farming. In my part of the world, there's a lot of farming. But more than that, Sikh and Italian farmers were Indian-run restaurants and IT firms, Muslim and Jewish family businesses, the trades. All of these interactions are carrying the suburbs and regional areas on their backs. And what small business in particular needs to function most is trust. You don't extend a line to credit to people who you don't trust. You don't go and work for someone without being paid first unless you have that trust. And all of these interactions that happen thousands of times a day, millions of times a year, help build that trust and cohesion in our society. It's not infrastructure, it's actually people getting along. So in the city, cohesion or social cohesion, the new favourite buzzword, it can look like a round table, it can look like a room like this. In a regional town, in a small town, so the town I live in now, still only 6,000 people, it looks different. It looks like a person waving back to you when you drive past them on a country road. It looks like the person knowing your name at the coffee shop. It looks like the person knowing you when you go to ring up something on your account at the local hardware store. There's less room to be anonymous in small regional towns. You can't hide in a suburb of 20,000 other people who come from your same ethnicity. In the regions, you could be the only one. Actually, funny story, who here's gone on a regional trip recently? Stopped by at a regional pub, and if that menu has a butter chicken on it, I can guarantee that the chef has probably come from India. And just about every regional pub that I've been to on my road trips will have a butter chicken or a korma on their menu, alongside the schnitzels and the steaks. But yeah, it's quite interesting. Just keep an eye on that next time you go. But the communities that get this right are the ones where people share these facilities. They share their shops, they don't have enclaves, everyone shares a community together. And the line in the invitation for tonight was right. Interfaith dialogue is absolutely a necessity. But dialogue is not the finish line, it's the starting line. It's not necessarily what we say here tonight, it's what we go out and do and live tomorrow back in our communities. And that shared future we build happens in workplaces, it happens in classrooms, it happens in public transport next to the people we sit to there. And it happens because we share in a future where everyone is invested in each other's success, not because we're from the same ethnicity or from the same faith, but because we're all Australian. And I think that's the goal that we all need to be aiming for. So thank you, Nadeem and Gordon, for putting tonight on. It's absolutely wonderful to be here. And I look forward to listening to a little bit more, and then I have another event very shortly. So sorry I can't stay until the end as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Singh, for sharing the nostalgia and the memories with all of us tonight. To present a token of appreciation, I would kindly like to invite Irfan Malik up here. And as we all know, at the heart of every strong society is its community. Please join me now in welcoming Nadeem Ahmed, founder of Indians in Sydney, to share the community perspective. I would like to say here that in a world where communities are built by acts of kindness and service, Nadeem Ahmed stands out as a shining example of what it means to lead with compassion and vision.
Thank you so much, Ekta, for your kind words. I don't know if those are true or not. Good evening, everyone. I begin by acknowledging the traditional custodian of the land on which we gather tonight, and I pay my respect to elder past and present, and also acknowledge any of the One Nation people in the room. I can see Andrea here as well, and also acknowledge Premier for New South Wales, Honourable Chris Minns, who left, and all the Member of Parliament and all our distinguished representatives present here. Lot of gratitude to our host for tonight, Mr. Warren Kirby, MP, who is our pillar for support at all the times. I mean, every time we need something, we approach to Warren. He's always available. I also acknowledge our faith leader from every tradition, our keynote speakers, Mr. Steve, Ahmed Pollitt, and Dr. Fulton here today, our community leaders, our guests here today from everywhere, the representative from Council, from Campbelltown, Camden, Parramatta. And it is an honor to stand in the Parliament of New South Wales for this important gathering on interfaith collaboration and shared prosperity. Friends, we often speak about diversity as a strength, but strength is not created by diversity alone. It is created by the trust within the diversity. Diversity does not automatically create unity. The trust does. Through our work with Indians in Sydney, this is what we have seen this truth, not just spoken. What began as in 2007 as a very small community initiative has grown into a parliament that connects, a platform that connects people across the culture through service, dialogue, and shared humanity. Interfaith dialogue, which we are in here today, is not about agreement. It is about respect. It is not symbolic. It is practical work that strengthens the fabric of society. Peace is not absence of difference. It is the presence of respect. Every time people choose to respect before they judge and understand before they respond, something changes. Distance reduces, trust grows, and what once felt different began to feel shared. But that will only happen if we invest in what truly holds society together beneath the policies and infrastructure that's trust between the people. On behalf of Indians in Sydney, we sincerely thank all our faith leaders, community leaders, Member of Parliaments for being part of this moment, and every single one of us who is present here today. Lot of gratitude again to our host, Mr. Warren Kirby. Let us allow this remain a conversation. Let us not allow this remain a conversation inside the walls. Let us carry it into our neighborhood, our workplaces, our schools, our religious places, our daily lives, because ultimately what we are building together is simple but very powerful. Many faith, one community, and one shared future. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nadeem, and thank you for reiterating that interfaith dialogue is definitely not a luxury, it is a necessity. Now we move ahead with our keynote addresses for tonight, voices that bring global insight and deep experience in building peace, justice, and inclusion. Firstly, I would welcome our first keynote speaker, Steve Killalay, founder and chairman of the Institute of Economics and Peace, a global think tank dedicated to advancing the understanding of the relationship between peace, economics, and human development. Please welcome Steve.
Great. So thank you. It's my pleasure to be here with you all. I'm going to cover a few things tonight. I thought first I might give a wrap up of just the state of global peace, because in many ways we're looking at the lack of social cohesion, international conflicts and issues in other places around the world do feed back here. So a little bit on that. Then I'm going to come back around the structures which actually create peace, and then give some concrete examples of where it's been used in other parts of the world and also here in New South Wales. So if we're looking at social cohesion today, it's obvious to everyone that it's on the decline. And we can see it. There are many, many reasons behind it. There are simply no simple answers. But part of it is a stagnant and falling living standards. We can see that in the Western democracies as well as many ways here in Australia. Productivity hasn't increased. Without increases in productivity, how do you give a better life? And obviously, house prices are right on the front. So that then leads to people having their anger. And that anger then can get displaced. And that can be displaced by all sorts of rogue actors who can take the anger and channel it different parts of communities. So the issue for us is, how do you overcome it? You can look at the rising global conflicts, because they do feed back in here, and we've seen examples of that, particularly the tragic shootings at Bondi would be just one example of it. We also can look at the social media algorithms and the way that they actually reinforce and drive home the preferences which people have got. And the aim is to just go with something slightly more radical each time you move through, because that increases the anger. And when those anger increases the emotions, and when those emotions are anger, well, that comes through. So none of that has got simple answers, none of it. But there are conditions which do create peaceful societies. But before that, I'll just give a little bit of a roundup on global peace. So at the Institute for Economics and Peace, we produce a number of global publications. One's the Global Peace Index, which is the world's preeminent measure of global peacefulness, and it's used by all the major multilaterals around the world, many intelligence services and many more. So we're looking at global peace today. It's the lowest since the inception of the Global Peace Index, and that's 20 years ago. So and we've looked back, it's actually decreased for the last 13 years, and only gradually, but it's just falling down. There's one thing which is driving that fall in peace, just one thing, and that just happens to be conflict. If it wasn't for the increases in global conflict over the last 15 years, we would have come as a world slightly more peaceful. And just to give you an idea, if we're looking at that indicator in the Global Peace Index, it's fallen 63% since the inception of the index 20 years ago. And as we're looking around the world, we can see other things too. Violent demonstrations is one of the other indicators which has increased the most. If we look at 2015, what we find is 180,000 people killed in conflicts. That's the second highest, again, since the inception of the index. There were 59 conflicts going on. Again, that's the most since the end of the Second World War. So that's really, really quite something. Now, just to give you an idea of sort of some of these conflicts and the way that they feed back in here. So if we're looking, let's say, at the Horn of Africa, and so we've got special emphasis on the Horn of Africa in this year's Global Peace Index. You've got a whole range of countries there where the conflicts feed into each other. So if you're looking at Ethiopia, Eritrea, South Sudan, Somalia, you'll find that all of them, each of those conflicts, and many of them were in our headlines, and many of them got the worst suffering in the world, you'll find each of those conflicts feed in from the other countries surrounding it. On top of that, you've got international players which come in, and they now support quite often both sides of some of these conflicts where they're looking for gain and can switch sides as well. And it's almost impossible to stop it without a focus on being able, the international actors. So for the politicians in the room, what I'd say is think, how can you actually go about helping with mechanisms and ways to bring about peace? But peace does come with an economic cost. If we look globally, the cost of violence to the global economy was about $20 trillion last year. That's about 13.5% of global GDP, and it costs here in Australia as well. I'll just spend one more minute, and just look at Iran, the war in Iran. So if we look at the wars in the Middle East, none of them have finished quickly. So if we think the Iranian war is going to finish quickly, we're probably wrong. So what I'd like you to do is just think about the Iraq war and the Afghanistan war, which we know a lot about, and then think maybe about Libya, which is still going on, Syria, Yemen, just to name some. But the good news is we actually know what creates peace. And within the Institute for Economics and Peace, that's called positive peace. That's the attitude, institutions and structures which create and sustain peaceful societies. And that work we've derived statistically. It's the only body of work like that which has been derived statistically. It's used in many, many different parts of the world. So last year we had projects in over 153 countries. Some of them Mickey Mouse, others are whole of country exercises like the Philippines, which have adopted it, which are using it as their whole of nation approach to peace. Got organisations like World Vision, adopted it internationally, Rotary International, the largest international NGO in the world. But with peace comes a number of things. There are a number of things tied up to it. So countries which are improving in positive peace have twice the GDP growth rates of countries which are deteriorating. Measures of the well-being and happiness correlated about 0.9%, which is exceptionally high. Better outcomes on development, which is especially important for places like Africa, and better outcomes on ecology as well. So in many ways it describes an optimal environment for human potential to flourish. So we're working here with Multicultural New South Wales on a large project on it. We've worked with a number of different groups here in implementing positive peace programs within the various communities here as well. In fact, there's a couple of people in the room we've actually worked with. I'll be in London in 2 weeks, be signing a contract with religious leaders in the DRC, and that'll be working using the positive peace framework back into the communities there. But just give you an idea, I was in Uganda, it would have been maybe 12 months ago, and you've got the Dinka and the Nuer, which are historically fight. So this refugee camp, that was mainly refugees from these two areas. And I was looking at an agricultural project, and you've got the two communities are working together because they had a shared interest, a common need. So the fighting, which would have been happening back in South Sudan, wasn't there. And the common need was how can we actually provide for a living. So when you're looking at working within communities, what we've found, and this is where the positive peace framework is ideal, what you need to do is find a common problem and get people to work together on that common problem. And by working on the common problem, you now transcend your differences and find a common cause. So to build social cohesion, in many ways, find a problem which we all agree with and work together on it. Pretty simple, isn't it? Okay, that's the end of it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir, for those powerful thoughts here. I would kindly like to invite Warren Kirby to present a token of appreciation to Steve, please. Moving ahead in the program, I would kindly like to invite the very lovely Dr. Jane Fulton, who is the Director of Philanthropy at the Sydney Peace Foundation, where she leads strategic partnerships and philanthropic engagement to advance peace, justice, and human rights initiatives.
Good evening. It's an honour to be here. I want to say thank you for inviting me, and I want to say good evening to the distinguished guests here, respected faith and community leaders, members of Parliament, and friends. And I'm honoured to speak to you on behalf of the Sydney Peace Foundation on this evening's theme of interfaith collaboration for peace and prosperity. I acknowledge and pay my respects to the traditional owners of the Gadigal land on which we gather and recognise their continued custodianship and connection to the land, waters and community. It is a privilege to be here at New South Wales Parliament for this Indians for Australia gathering, an event that reflects something deeply powerful, that leadership for peace in this country is both high level and community rooted, shaped by the lived experiences and shared humanity of diverse cultures and faiths. Australia, and in particular Sydney, has over recent decades become one of the most culturally diverse regions in the world. I'm a migrant. I came here in 1984. This is my home. And I think that's what we can all say about Sydney. It's a home for so many people, and New South Wales. In the 10 years from 2014 to 2024, the Indian population in Australia has doubled. Today, Indian-born residents are the largest migrant group, around 1 million, in Australia. Your cultural impact is huge in business, politics, medicine, education, science and the arts, with a strong emphasis on community service. My connection with the Sydney Peace Foundation spans 3 decades. It was at the Centre for Peace and Conflict Studies at the University of Sydney that the idea of the Sydney Peace Foundation and its annual Sydney Peace Prize was born. We wanted to expand the conversation of peace, highlighting the work of some of the world's great peacemakers. We all share one simple but vital principle: there is no peace without justice. With this in mind, I want to speak about 5 interconnected ideas that relate directly to tonight's theme. These are peace building grounded in justice and inclusion, the role of interfaith cooperation in a multicultural Australia, environmental responsibility as a shared duty, the importance of translating dialogue into action, which is a theme that's come up a lot tonight, and Australia's role in global peace and sustainability. Peace is not merely the absence of conflict. It is the presence of fairness, dignity, and opportunity. And it requires us to confront inequality and ensure all peoples, especially those historically marginalised, are included and empowered. This commitment is reflected in the annual Sydney Peace Prize, which recognises global leaders whose actions promote human rights, social justice, and non-violent solutions to conflict. Over the years, Sydney Peace Laureates have shown us what this looks like in practice. Economist and statesman Muhammad Yunus showed us that peace is freedom from poverty through his microloans to the poorest of the poor. Archbishop Desmond Tutu showed us that peace is reconciliation through truth, tolerance, and forgiveness. Scholar and environmentalist Vandana Shiva championed environmental sustainability and social justice. Indigenous rights activist Patrick Dodson, often called the father of reconciliation, is tirelessly advancing Indigenous rights here in Australia. And during her time on the Rwandan Genocide Tribunal, the UN established independent international commission inquiry on the occupied Palestinian territory, Judge Nave Pillay has ruled that it's the responsibility of all nation states, including Australia, to adhere to human rights law. These laureates remind us that peace is not passive, it requires courage, persistence, and moral clarity. Australia's diversity is one of our greatest strengths, but diversity must be actively nurtured through connection, trust, and shared purpose. Interfaith cooperation plays a crucial role here. When Sikh, Hindu, Muslim, Buddhist, Christian, Jewish, and other religious and secular communities come together, they do more than exchange ideas. They build relationships, they challenge misconceptions, and foster understanding. This is not about erasing difference, it's about engaging with difference respectfully, while recognizing shared values, compassion, justice, service, and human dignity. The Sydney Peace Foundation has long supported safe spaces where these conversations can flourish, bringing people together across cultures and beliefs to engage in meaningful dialogue and collaborative action. Peace building today must also include our relationship with the natural world. Climate change and environmental degradation are not only ecological issues, they are justice issues. They disproportionately affect vulnerable communities and threaten long-term stability. For us, environmental leadership is central to peace building. This year, the Sydney Peace Prize will be awarded to Australian human rights barrister Jennifer Robinson, who represented Vanuatu and the Marshall Islands in historic 2025 International Court of Justice proceedings, which ruled all nation states have binding legal obligations to prevent climate change-induced harm, and that failure to take climate action constitutes a breach in international law. And at the end of July, we are going to offer a gold medal to former Green Senator and joint founder of the Tasmanian Wilderness Society, Dr. Bob Brown, for a lifetime of standing up for nature, including prevention of the damming of the World Heritage Franklin River. Across cultures and faith traditions, there is a shared call to care for the earth, whether expressed as stewardship, custodianship, or respect for creation. This responsibility unites us all. Dialogue is essential, but it must lead to action, a core theme from tonight. One inspiring example is the Cabramatta High School's Peace Day. 96% of students are from language backgrounds other than English, and many are from refugee families. Through dance, music, food, and engagement with our laureates, the students are a shining example of peace building in action. During her visit there last year, Judge Navi Pillay told the students, "I am learning so much from you about peace through your collaborative celebration of our shared humanity. It is a powerful reminder that peace is not only discussed, it is practiced, learned and lived. The Sydney Peace Foundation supports and amplifies such initiatives because they demonstrate how values can be translated into tangible outcomes, particularly through education and youth engagement. More broadly, translating dialogue into impact means building partnerships across sectors, supporting community-led initiatives, empowering young leaders, and ensuring accountability in the work we do. When communities move from conversation to collaboration, peace becomes visible. It takes shape in shared projects, strengthened relationships, and inclusive institutions. While our work is grounded locally, it is connected globally. The Sydney Peace Prize connects Australia to international movements for justice and human rights, reminding us that we are part of a wider global effort. Australia has the capacity and the responsibility to contribute meaningfully through advancing human rights, supporting sustainable development, and modelling inclusive, multicultural democracy. Leadership in this space is not about perfection, it's about commitment, integrity, and a willingness to learn and improve. In conclusion, the work of peace belongs to us all. As this gathering so clearly demonstrates, when diverse communities come together with shared intent and mutual respect, peace is not only possible, it is already being built. And in the words of Indians for Australia, we are in this together, building bridges, building communities, and celebrating every journey together. Thank you, and do hope to see you at our Peace Prize events this year.
Thank you, Dr. Jain, for sharing your thoughts with us. May I please invite Javed to come up here and present a small token of appreciation to Dr. Jain, please. Moving on with our next keynote speaker, Mr. Ahmed Orhan Polat, Sydney-based community leader and international relations professional serving as the Director of External Relations for the United Nations Association of Australia, New South Wales Division.
Thank you. Thank you. Good evening, distinguished guests, respected faith leaders, members of Parliament, community representatives, esteemed colleagues, and my dear cousins. I begin by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land on which we gather this evening, and I pay my deepest respects to elders past, present, and emerging. I would also like to sincerely thank my esteemed cousins Nadim and also Gurnam and their team for organizing this meaningful evening. It is a great honor and together here within the Parliament of New South Wales around the theme, the shared future, Interfaith Collaboration for Peace and Prosperity in New South Wales. This evening, invite us to consider an important question. What kind of future are we preparing not only for ourselves, but for the generations that will follow us? Never before in history have human beings been so technologically connected, but often so distant from one another emotionally, spiritually, and morally. We are living in an age increasingly marked by loneliness, distrust, and social fragmentation and growing polarization. And perhaps one of the defining challenges of our time is no longer simply whether we can coexist, but whether we can rediscover how to live together with dignity, compassion, and shared responsibility. In many ways, this evening's gathering itself represents part of a deeper search for how people of different faiths, cultures, and worldviews might move beyond tolerance towards genuine encounter, understanding, and shared humanity. The 13th century Sufi poet Rumi once beautifully reminded us, it is not speaking the same language that brings people together, but sharing the same feeling. Throughout history, many of humanity's great moral and spiritual voices, emerging from different traditions and civilizations, have often arrived at remarkably similar visions of our shared humanity. Mahatma Gandhi and Guru Nanak, though emerging from different spiritual and historical traditions, both reminded humanity that enduring societies are shaped not through hatred or domination, but through humility, compassion, justice, and service to others. His Holiness the Dalai Lama has often reminded the modern world that compassion is not simply a personal virtue, but a shared responsibility towards all humanity. The Ubuntu philosophy of Africa offers another profound moral insight. I am because we are. Archbishop Desmond Tutu carried this wisdom powerfully to the global stage, reminding us that our humanity becomes meaningful through our interconnectedness with others. Rabbi Jonathan Sachs encouraged societies to see diversity not as a source of fear, but as a part of the richness of our shared humanity. Similarly, Pope Francis has often spoken of the need for a culture of encounter grounded in dignity, compassion, and authentic human connections. In our own time, Islamic scholar and thinker Fethullah Gülen also articulated a deeply universal vision rooted in dialogue, education, compassion, and service to humanity. Emerging from the rich Sufi tradition, his thought invited humanity towards a language of the heart, grounded not in division, but in empathy, moral responsibility, and sincere human encounter. He consistently emphasizes that lasting peace within society cannot emerge solely through political or material advancement, but through the cultivation of people of character, education, mutual understanding, and compassionate service to others. His vision of dialogue and coexistence inspired many people across cultures, faiths, and communities to build bridges across difference and to see diversity not as a threat, but as a part of our shared humanity. And all of these voices ultimately invite humanity towards the same vision, a more compassionate world, a more peaceful world, a world shaped by shared humanity. Yet moral visions only gain meaning when translated into lived experience. And this brings us to one of the defining questions of multicultural societies such as Australia. How do we transform diversity into genuine social cohesion whilst preserving the dignity of our differences? Perhaps Affinity's Ramadan dialogue initiatives and iftar gatherings offer one lived response to that question. I know many of you here this evening have also shared in Affinity's Ramadan gatherings over the years. For almost 3 decades, these initiatives have sought to create spaces of encounter, hospitality, friendship, and social cohesion across New South Wales. Some scholars of intercultural and interfaith dialogue have also recognized these gatherings among the early pioneering civic Ramadan dialogue and iftar initiatives within contemporary interfaith engagement. At the heart of Ramadan lies not only fasting, but also reflection, empathy, gratitude, humility, hospitality, and human connection. Every iftar table becomes an opportunity for encounter, where people of different faiths, cultures, and backgrounds can come together, not as strangers observing one another from a distance, but as human beings sharing conversations, stories, and genuine human connection. In many respects, this spirit reflects a profound Quranic vision of human diversity and coexistence. We created you into nations and tribes so that you may know one another. Surah Al-Hujurat 49:13. Here, diversity is presented as an invitation towards understanding, mutual enrichment, and shared humanity rather than a source of fear and division. The values of dialogue, compassion, service, coexistence, and shared humanity, central to the thought of Fethullah Gülen, found practical expression through these civic and interfaith efforts across Australian society and beyond. Over the years, Affinity's Ramadan gatherings have brought together people from remarkably diverse faiths, cultures, and backgrounds, including Muslim, Christians, Jewish, Buddhist, Hindu, Sikh, and secular communities. These encounters unfolded across many different spaces, from Affinity's 17th annual Friendship and Dialogue Ramadan Iftar held at the Parliament of New South Wales, to long-standing Ramadan gatherings shared with the Uniting Church Australia community, alongside dialogue initiatives involving the New South Wales Buddhist Council, Wayside Chapel, the Latter-day Saints community, universities, and Affinity's traditional home iftars. Across these spaces, people were invited to encounter one another with openness, sincerity, hospitality, and mutual respect. Importantly, participants were never asked to abandon their identities or beliefs. Rather, these gatherings created spaces where people could remain authentic to their own traditions whilst learning how to live together with dignity and mutual respect. Some participants even choose to fast for the day in solidarity, seeking not only to observe Ramadan intellectually, but to experience, even briefly, the empathy, reflection, and humanity embedded within it. And often the most meaningful moments emerge in simplest way. Around Ramadan tables, strangers became guests, guests became friends, and conversation quietly transformed unfamiliarity into understanding and friendship. Over time, these encounters help cultivate something deeply valuable within our multicultural society: trust. Perhaps peace is built not only through institutions and agreements, but also through the quiet human encounters that allow people to rediscover one another through dignity, trust, and shared humanity. I still remember hearing participants speak about how deeply moved they were simply by sitting together, listening to one another's stories, and experiencing a sense of warmth and humanity that transcended religious and cultural boundaries. These moments remind us something profoundly important. Social cohesion cannot simply be legislated into existence. It must be cultivated patiently through trust, hospitality, listening, and sincere human connection. Across Sydney, these Ramadan gatherings offered small yet meaningful example of this possibility where people from different faiths, cultures and backgrounds did not simply speak about coexistence, but experience it together. Without trust between communities, even strong institutions gradually become fragile. Ultimately, the future of multicultural societies will depend not only upon policies and institutions, but upon whether human beings can continue learning how to live together with dignity, compassion, and shared responsibility. Many faiths, one shared future, one shared humanity, one shared responsibility. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing your thoughts with us, Emmett. May I please request Newell to please present a small token of appreciation to Emmett, please. I would now like to kindly invite Hugh McDermott MP, known for his humble and approachable nature. Hugh continues to champion unity, inclusion and respect, values that reflect the rich diversity of New South Wales.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Well, it's lovely to be here and it's lovely to join you all. It's so many good friends here, so many different parts of the faith community. And thank you for Indians in Sydney for organising this. You organise some amazing events, I've got to say. You really do. And it's wonderful. The moment I saw this come here, congratulations. It really is. I'm going to have a different approach to this. I'm going to very much talk about realpolitik. I think that we've heard some wonderful speeches and we've talked about unity and we've talked about our faith community. And our faith community is here, standing here, sitting here amongst us. But the tolerance we see now, this open dialogue, the importance of the religious communities in Australia, think 10 years ago. I was elected in 2015. Okay, 10 years ago. If you are religious leaders, you're practising your faith. I remember when I first got elected coming up to my first Christmas, and I wanted to put out a Christmas card. And I was warned that, no, you shouldn't be doing a Christian card out there. It should be, you've got to think of everybody. You should do happy holidays. Now, I won't say what I said, but I'm a Western City MP and I do swear. And I thought, no, I'm a practising Christian. My community is. In fact, I have probably the most highest concentration of persecuted Christians from the Middle East, from Sri Lanka, from the Caucasus, from Eastern Europe, than anybody else in this country. So it's important to our community. Our faith is part of who we are. If you're Assyrian, Armenian and others, this is who we are. Just like your faith is to your Jewish community, just like Hinduism is to parts of the Indian community, and so it goes on. So I put out those cards. And then I thought, I've got plenty of Hindu friends. There's Diwali coming up, there's other religious festivals, I'll put out for some of those as well. And then I thought, all right, I'll do something for Hanukkah. And then I've got Greek Orthodox friends, and they have a lot of holidays, I found out, and the Coptics, who are also part of my community. I have a Coptic cathedral in my electorate. So this is the thing. 10 years ago when I was elected, it wasn't a mainstream thing to listen to religious communities. And then the thing started to build, and you think of some of the challenges us as faith leaders have had to deal with. Same-sex marriage, abortion issues. And I have to tell you, the MPs in this place, cross-party, who stood against abortion because of their religious faith, were treated appallingly. In fact, what it built in this community, in this parliament, was cross-party group that became good friends, because we realised no matter what our religious background was, we had a common belief and a common faith. And that group still meets today regularly, it still talks regularly today. Now, finally, the 2019 election happened. Labor lost. There was huge swings. And people started openly saying, I think it was Chris Bowen was the first one to say, oh, we've got to start listening to faith communities. Because they realised that us as a united voice of believers, no matter where our religious background came from, had a weight now that they could not be ignored. And that's where our power really lies. In Australia, we believe, and we have for many decades, since our federation, in equality, in democracy, in dignity for the human being, in freedom. But as a faith community, we haven't always been listened to. The people that dictated to me a decade ago that I shouldn't put out a religious Christmas card, I was going to send it to everybody. It didn't matter who they were. Didn't care if they were religious or not, or what religion they were. They told me I couldn't do. Now, they don't say those things anymore, and now it's commonplace that we practice all our faiths, that I go to the synagogue, I go to the temple, I go to the mosque, and I feel at home there. And I think that is what we need to make sure continues and builds in this country. We've had multiculturalism, but multiculturalism was just an ethnic thing. And it's a new thing, multiculturalism. It's only new. We still had a White Australia policy in the 70s. And it's still built. And that White Australia policy did continue up to the 80s, and it wasn't until the mid-80s that finally we threw out the vestiges of it. But if you talk to our Tamil community, when they tried to come to this country on boats and the way they were treated, you know that multiculturalism isn't such a straightforward thing. But what one section of multiculturalism wasn't there was the understanding that our faith is part of who we are. And I think as people who believe in a faith which is growing in Australia, churches and temples and others in my area in Western Sydney are packed, standing room only. The churches and the dioceses and the different religious organisations have to keep on building more buildings. And that is where our unity lies. It's making sure that government policy reflects our faith beliefs as a group, as all faith group. But the second part we have to make sure we do is call out members of our faiths that do not adhere to those beliefs we have, that do not believe in the Australian way of doing things, that are challenging the freedoms which we hold so, so dear, and having the bravery to call out our own, no matter what faith that is. Otherwise, it does lead to what we've seen the last 2 years. 2 years of persecutions of our Jewish community. So that's my comments for tonight. I want to thank you all for being here and for joining us in this oldest parliament. And I just want to say, my grandparents, great-grandparents, they came from Northern Ireland and they were persecuted Catholics. My wife's family came from French. They were persecuted Protestants, which I think we both find very funny now. But in the 1920s, in this parliament, they moved motions and bills to try and discriminate openly against Irish Catholics, people like me. And my grandfather used to talk about it when I was younger. So there's a history in this country where there hasn't been the tolerance. It's here now. We are blessed to have it here now. And we need to make sure that it continues. Thank you, and God bless you all.
Thank you, Mr. McDermott, for sharing your thoughts with us. I would kindly like to invite Dr. Abha Suri to present a token of appreciation to him. We now move to the heart of tonight's dialogue, our panel discussion. But before that, a quick reminder and a takeaway that interfaith dialogue is not a luxury. It is a necessity. It is about listening, understanding, and building a future together. Our panel discussion, this is where different voices come together to share ideas, experiences, and solutions here. Please join me in welcoming our moderator, Nandini Sen Mehra, along with our distinguished panelists. Nandini, stage is all yours.
May I invite our distinguished panelists to come and join me here, and then we'll get started. I think you can sit wherever you want. Then we need another chair, won't we? I've been told there's a mysterious new person on the panel. All right, okay. Thank you, everyone. I acknowledge this Parliament stands on the traditional lands of the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, and I pay my respects to elders past and present. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. And thank you, Indians in Sydney. Wonderful event. I'm Nandini Sen Mehra from NRI Affairs and Hindus for Human Rights Australia. My work focuses on social justice, building inter-community solidarity and resilience. So this space is beautiful to me. This interfaith panel discussion brings together faith and community leaders to explore how we can work together across differences to build stronger, more connected communities. I invite each of you. This is the biggest and most challenging part of my job today. I am supposed to tell you to keep your responses to a minute per question. So we'll see how we go. Is that better? Let's begin there. Okay.
Start again.
Start again. I'm losing time, I can't. So a minute for responses. We've got some excellent questions, and we'll get going. Our panel includes Simon Chan, a respected Australian leader, architect, and multicultural advocate. He's the founder and director of Art Atrium, a contemporary gallery that serves as a platform for intercultural dialogue and also serves as chair, Multicultural New South Wales Advisory Board. For this work, he was awarded the Member of the Order of Australia, one of the nation's highest honours. We also have Gurnam Singh, founder of AISCCS, he's a fierce advocate for education, community development, and multicultural engagement, champion of sport, building bridges, a finalist for the Dr. G.K. Harinath OAM Sports Medal. And I'm very pleased to welcome the lady on the panel, Melissa Montero, the CEO of Community Migrant Resource Centre, 28 years of experience in empowering migrants and refugees across Australia, fostering inclusion and opportunity. She's an author and board member on various advisory committees. Welcome. We have Pandit Jatin Kumar Bhatt, a full-time and highly respected priest at Sri Mandir, one of Australia's most prominent Hindu temples. Pandit Bhatt brings knowledge of scripture and a deep belief in peace, interfaith understanding and harmony. And we have Dr. Ali Aslamer. Did I say that right?
Close enough.
Close enough. An Islamic scholar, educator, and healthcare professional. He's a respected general practitioner, and his formal Islamic education includes a bachelor and master's degree in Islamic theology, a member of New South Wales Faith Advisory Council, strong advocate for youth mentorship and interfaith engagement. Welcome. And we we have Rabbi Dr. David Slavin, Chief Executive Officer of the Big Kitchen, community organization that provides food, support, practical services to vulnerable people and families in Sydney. Then we have Paul Cedric, who's the President of the Christian Alliance Council, New South Wales. Under his leadership, the Council has focused on strengthening fellowship, encouraging interfaith understanding and cultural dialogue. And the phone has locked. I was supposed to introduce one more person. We're trying to keep on track here, Libby. I have one last speaker and then we'll get on.
We have Jeff.
Jeff from Parramatta Mission. All right, welcome. A round of applause for all the panelists. We'll get right to the heart of the matter. The focus is often on what divides us. Why is it important for different faiths and communities to work together today? And if you can share a quick example from your lived experience. I'll begin with you.
Thank you. So as we heard today, the amount of conflict around the world is increasing and probably at a peak for what we've seen in a very long time. And I think the language used around especially faith and race has become more divisive and has led, unfortunately, to more tension and more prejudice. And so I think this is why it's especially important for us as faith communities to work together. All of our faiths within them have a tradition of empathy, of kindness, and I think this is the best antidote to division. For me, in terms of lived experience, being on the Faith-Based Council, meeting regularly with leaders of other faiths has really changed my view over the last 2 years and really helped me to see things in a much more circumspect way and understand that there really are many more things that we have in common than that we do have that are different.
I'll take that back. He's got a mic. Yes.
Thank you. I always believe that Australia is the best multicultural country in the world, and but unfortunately, lately, I think we're going through a very significant challenge in terms of social cohesion. And in fact, the term social cohesion, it should be something that we aspire to. It's an objective that we all should aspire to. But this term has recently been hijacked by those who are anti-migration and also anti-multiculturalism to imply assimilation, a term that has been discarded since we adopted multiculturalism. So I like to think that we can all work together, all the different communities, and I really think that we are still the best multicultural country in the world, but we're going through significant challenge right now. And it's a good opportunity for something like this, a seminar, where we all get together and talk to each other. So I like to see that continuing.
Thank you.
Thank you very much to invite us to this platform. It's very much needed to each and everyone to understand interfaith dialogues are not luxury. I like this slogan, this necessity. We require everything in our life, but after all, we run after the peace. Whenever you go, work, everywhere, whole day, afterwards you need some sleep for the peace of your mind. This society also needs the peace. Australia is a very beautiful country. Why? Because you don't want to go for the world tour. If you go to your street, you will get the different countries' people and you can see the people and you can talk to people. Label is your first relations. If you respect, if you talk with them, if you go and transfer all the knowledge about your values of your culture, your society. Most needed interfaith now go on the beyond is inner faith. You have to create the faith in you people. You have to create the faith and truth. I am the human. I am the human, and what is my service towards to the society, towards the country, towards the creation. and believing my faith, okay, good. But I have to first identify I am the human and my faith is to serve the humanity. This is the best thing we can do it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I just want to say three things. One is that whatever we're doing in this Parliament House should be intentional, that cohesion is not automatic, and cohesion just doesn't happen just like that. What Emma does, Ithas, what each one of us are doing here in our rooms, in this room, is actually celebrating, bringing people together, but it's got to be more intentional in a bigger way. And what better place to be and to say this message, because we've got people from government here, that you need to fund organizations, individuals, and gatherings like this more, only so that the message can go out more. Here it is, we are speaking to the converted. We're all saying the same thing. And that's the beauty of this whole topic here. The sharedness is that we're all saying the same, different faiths, different practices, but that's the common, the 5 or 6 elements that each one of the speakers spoke about were common. And can I also impress on members of Parliament here that the settlement sector is one of the largest sectors in the country today. That communities, migrant communities, refugee communities want, as you have both said today in your speeches, and of course in the other speeches, refugees and migrant communities want to give back to this country, are only waiting for the opportunity to be seen and heard. And that is the actual fabric that is being strengthened when you allow people for opportunities to thrive here in this country. My last one is that social cohesion is something that we are all aspiring to, and we are all working in our own ways, but we need to come together more often, and government need to recognize this particular gathering of people coming together. There are individuals that are not seen, but who are doing great work. And in these rooms that people come together, there are countless individuals outside that do not get the opportunity to be on this table and do not get the opportunity to be in Parliament House. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. Very special to be here tonight. Looking at the crowd and the theme, it reminds me of the comment that's made often to people who go into a gym. You walk into the gym where people are working out, everybody in the gym is fit. Right? So you're wondering where the people who need to be in the gym, they're not there. The Indian community stands out as the only country where Jews lived for many, many years and it never had any persecution. I want to repeat that. Jews lived all over the world. And there's a history of pogroms and displacements and ghettos, all these words that we added to the English language. And Inquisition. India stands out as the only country, according to most historians, where there was never any history of persecution of the Jews. And that is something which is remarkable, and therefore I feel somewhat strange being invited to an event organized by Indians in Sydney talking about acceptance when you have the answers, because you've done it through your lived experience, not for 10 years or 20 years when it's been in vogue or since December the 14th, but in fact going back for 2,000 or 3,000 years. We could go on for a long time, but I'm past my minute, so that's all I want to share.
Thank you for that.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. When I sit here, I look around and I feel like this is a joke. I've got a Jewish rabbi, a Christian minister, a Sikh, a Muslim. We all walk into New South Wales Parliament and what happens next? And I love this because this is Australia. This is so beautiful. This is Australia. And I'm so honoured to be here. And I guess for myself on the Christian Alliance and as a teacher, for me, the alternative is clear. If we don't have dialogue, we have silence. Silence breeds judgment, breeds division. When you go and ask someone, you ask him, "Oh, what's your name?" And he says, "Muhammad." "Rabbi." And I make a judgment. But imagine we could all be like kids, where it does not matter the colour of your skin, if you're fat, if you're size 14, if you've got money or not, they just want to play together. And I guess what I'm calling here tonight, and what's so important, is that dialogue is super important. But I'll tell you why, more importantly, is to call out the leaders here. All of you are leaders. If we don't see, like Hugh was saying, if you see something wrong and we let it go by, then our kids learn from us. And as a teacher, I know when I let my kids go by on anything, I know the next time they will judge again and again and again. So when we see judgment, I'll give you a quick example, sorry. I come from a very conservative Christian faith. We wear St. Mary on our t-shirt. We had an event last year on the 25th of October. Rabbi David provided all the food for it. And a Pentecostal brother of ours says, "You Christians wearing St. Mary on your shirt, that's not Jesus." And guess what? Another Pentecostal pastor said to him, "Hey, you leave those Catholics or Orthodox alone. You worry about yourself. Don't judge them for what they believe, and they won't judge us." So my point is really clear. Us as leaders, and I do this, when we look upon others, no matter what we look like, whatever it may be, or your background, or what's in your pocket, we've got to speak out and stop judging.
I'm one of the leaders of the Uniting Church across Western Sydney and Blue Mountains, and working at the moment as well in Parramatta Community Uniting Church and Parramatta Mission. And there we feed 300 people every day. We don't ask where you come from or what you believe or anything. People are people. They're hungry. Let's feed them. Much of our work in Western Sydney, highly multicultural, highly multi-faith, particularly working within the church in the different cultures. My colleague is Nuayan, small island Pacific. So we have a lot of Pacifica people, Koreans, Indian people, Vietnamese, Chinese, a whole lot. And what Leva says to me is, multiculturalism is wonderful, but we tend in multiculturalism to keep people in their village. So what we use the term is intercultural. So what we're asking is not what is the lowest common denominator to which we can find ourselves, because then we give up our uniqueness. We actually ask, what is the best you have to bring to the shared table? And when we can bring the best of who we are, that's when our diversity becomes truly the beautiful thing that humanity offers. It's when we can work together, bringing the best of our culture, the best of our faith, the best of our humanity, that something big and real and true happens. And so that's what I'd want to say is that intercultural space is really important, to listen and bring the best of who you are.
Amen. I think dialogues are very important, especially nowadays. And I firstly tell everyone to round of applause for yourself to be in this room with the different religious, faith leaders, community leaders, parliamentarian, and everyone who brought you all together in Indian Sydney. A big round of applause for reason, because last year we did it and it went very good, but this year we have seen something different. And what has happened last year after the Jewish horror attack, what we have challenging against, like being as an Indian, I have been recognized always with wearing a turban, like, you know, no matter where you go, you being Indian because you're wearing a turban. So see, the perspective of young people in Australia has changed, and it just changed because there's no dialogue. We are not ready to talk. And if we are ready to talk, the social media create a different hype, and that will actually divide the community. Coming from the sports background, I think the majority of the people coming from different culture, background, and faith, they actually connect through the sports. And why? My point here is today to tell the parliamentarian, I think the religious leaders and the faith leaders, they come from the organization that is the faith organization. But having the youth and the young people, involving them, because they are the future, but they also are the present. And for the present, we need to work to connect with the live example like today. I think there's a lot of youth are sitting and they're watching what we are doing while we are here. But if we don't have open dialogue like this, I think we are just running our organization, running an event. And I must say, from today onwards, like today you take something from this event, that have a dialogue, the dialogue you haven't done with someone with a different culture. Because sometimes people are afraid. We often talk about Australia as a multicultural country, but yes, are you involved to talk to someone coming from multicultural country to different faith, like Rabbi? We do every year Guru Nanak Dev Ji's Gurpurab, and when he came first, he knows Guru Nanak. Who's Guru Nanak? So it's just a faith, learning from each other. I think that's a shared future. And I really want to say that we need to take action, not just a dialogue. Dialogue is important, but after dialogue, we need to take action, and action can be done right in the parliament where we're sitting with the presence of the ministers and Warren Hughes. We need to do something that will actually leave the legacy. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question. Now, this is a bit of a tricky one because you have to give me one answer, one response each person. And all of you have done a lot of things that you know work, and you also know what doesn't work. So if you were to tell people here today the one thing that they can do tomorrow as an action, what would you say to further this conversation, to further peace?
Good question.
Here you go.
I think one thing I've learned over the last few years is the importance of debunking, I'd call them myths and tropes and generalizations that often young people and even older people might see in the media or in social media. And I think it's really important to like the example that Paul mentioned, that you stop someone and say, look, not everyone who has this faith believes this, for example, or not everyone who looks like this holds that view, and to get them to engage with that person as an individual and to really understand that everyone is an individual and will have their own views and experiences. I think that's really, really important for breaking down prejudice and barriers between communities.
I'm a strong advocate for education. I've been advocating for a course on modern and contemporary Australia in both primary school and high school, where we teach all the young kids and young adults on the value of diversity, multiculturalism, where they learn about the history, culture, and religion in different parts of the world. I always find that people, if they're not familiar with something, they get scared of it. And it doesn't take much for a bit of misinformation and disinformation for them to turn against something that they don't understand. So I really believe that for the next generation, I think I'm looking at a very long-term solution. If we can educate our youth so that they can understand the history, culture, and religion in different parts of the world and appreciate the multiculturalism, the fantastic sort of, community that we're all part of, then I think moving forward, I think we will be in a much better place. I mean, we have things like, Section 18C and Section 93 set, which we all need to protect ourselves. But I always feel that at the end of the day, once they are, pretty well adults, very hard to change that, So you can put them in jail, they come out even worse. So I think we need to really educate the youth and look to the future.
Wonderful.
There is only one word, if I have to say, but in Indian tradition, in Hinduism, there is two words is very common. One is Vasudevam Kutumbakam, and one is Atithi Devo Bhava. Vasudevam Kutumbakam is whole world is one family. And Atiti Devo Bhava, it means when you see any unknown people or you've never seen to anyone, and first time you are meeting, it means it's treat as look like God. So we, from the childhood, we learn only two things: love and respect. This is the point. Thank you.
Thank you.
For me, the one thing that I would say to someone tomorrow is belonging. It's very, very important because all of the things that we've discussed here today is captured in that one word, belonging. When people have a sense of belonging, they feel that they are part of a larger family, part of a larger community. There's acceptance. When there is more belonging, there is a want to give back to that family that have given them. So all of these things that we have discussed here today can be overcome by belonging.
Great.
And finally, to the organizations that are here, it would be good for you to develop a framework, a belonging framework. The CMRC has just developed our own belonging framework, and we're happy to share it more with you. If you like, you can reach out to me. Thank you.
Thank you very much. In terms of practical action, we're taught the Almighty created every single human being with 2 ears and 1 mouth. And we suggest you use it in that proportion. Listening to what others have to say before giving an opinion or passing judgment. Practically, if you ask me what I've done and what I encourage all our friends to do, we have a place in Bandai, as Paul referred to it earlier, as our big kitchen. It's ours, it's not mine or yours, it belongs to all of us. It's big and it's a kitchen. In the kitchen, we get food that we go into landfill and turn it into meals that get delivered to charities to the tune of between 1,000 and 2,000 a day. A very, very good place to start is to come along, cook a meal, bake a biscuit, share it, and give it to somebody who needs it, because you need to give as much or more than those need to receive. Thank you very much.
Yes, I've been there. It's an amazing place. Can I just say, number one, thank God we have faith. We are of the faith community. Whatever faith you are, one, it gives us so much hope, respect, drive, purpose. So the number one, let's just be proud of that and accept that we walk out of here, and I thank God, like some of the politicians were saying, Australia's changed. I now can say I'm a Christian man and I wear my cross, and Rabbi can wear this and so forth. We are so proud of Australia. It's come such a long way. Can I give one example that I would love to share with you? My background is Coptic Orthodox. We come from a very traditional church, started in 42 AD by St. Mark. And we have a beautiful church in Arncliffe. Arncliffe, around it, our beautiful neighbours are Sunni, Muslim, Shia, that's right. Very close. There was only one or the other. Anyway, we have these beautiful neighbours that have been, for years, for the last, I'd say 20 to 30 years, we've had some ups and downs with our neighbours. We've got a church that's got 2,000 to 3,000 people on a Sunday, and you can imagine the Muslim community is quite complicated. So the priest and the bishop said, we're going to try something very different and go out of our comfort zone, and we're going to create, as you were saying, to create an iftar dinner. An iftar dinner during Ramadan, okay? This was the most political, challenging time for all our people, because we couldn't invite the Sunnis because the Shiites will get upset and so forth. Anyway, this is, every community has its own boundaries. But here's what happened. We had this wonderful event, and I believe the key to events, for me personally, as an Egyptian man, is food. So for me, you give me some free food and I say, we're going to have El Jannah chicken, we're going to have some butter chicken, we're going to have some kosher, whatever it is, put it on the table, invite the community, get the old ladies to cook and all the aunties, people will come. So what we did in the church, we invited 100 Muslim leaders from around the community. We also invited the schools, the soccer teams, all the troublemakers, all the bum bag guys, the brat tail, everybody. Now, here's what I loved about it most. A lot of the Muslim students, the captains of those Muslim schools, said to me, Paul, I have never walked into a Christian church and I was nervous coming to your church. This is a Muslim, Muhammad, the captain of Al-Zahra College, saying it to me. And guess what? Our Christian kids felt the same about the mosque. We would not dare walk in front of Arcliffe Mosque. And breaking down those boundaries and those it's building those bridges. And I believe, put some good food on and you'll find a way. Amen.
So I'm going to echo that because I saw a statistic the other day. Jesus of Nazareth, 43% of the stories about him were about food. So have a meal with your neighbours. Cousin Ahmed, when we had the iftar dinner and sat around the table, we've all got to eat. And I think it was a previous UN Secretary General, when he was bringing warring factions together for their mediation, before he'd do any meeting, he sat them down to a meal believing if you eat together, you're less willing to shoot each other the next day. So have a meal.
Break bread.
I think the real unity starts with some engagement, and I would like you to engage yourself with each other right now for 30 seconds. Just share your name first with each other, because not many people know each other. Just talk to each other first. You know what?
I'm going to send you a text message and get you at an event, Christian Union event.
Time's up. There's only 5 minutes. Up, you can have a conversation later. Alright. Time's up. 30 seconds. Yes.
May I have everyone back at the panel?
Over food. We could do it over food at the end.
Yes.
At the end.
Are we back? Good.
Put it on.
Warren? Everyone.
Alright, next question.
Oh, I haven't finished yet. The reason. Well, guys, are we ready now? See how beautiful that conversation for 30 seconds, knowing the person is next to you. And that makes people to connect with the different religion, faith and culture. For example, we have faith organization leaders. They can come and invite their faith religious organizations like our kitchen, our big kitchen, Rabbi, the Hindu temple, the Sikh temple. They should go, they should learn their culture. I think that's the beauty of engaging the person you're meeting. But are we ready to engage? I think that's the question. We need to engage. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Next question is, working across differences isn't easy, but all of you do hard things. So in the spirit of truth-telling, what are some of the biggest, or perhaps we'll pick one, what is the biggest challenge that you face in your work, and how do you deal with that? We've heard some of that in the responses you've given, but if you'd like to get really specific with that in terms of one challenge that you face and how you overcome that.
I think a lot of what has been mentioned today is that sometimes we are nervous about going to new environments and meeting people, especially if we're very attached to our own faiths and traditions, and it can be very hard to take that step. So I think that's a challenge, and sometimes we might feel like we're compromising our own sort of moral convictions or religious stances, but I think once we do it, then I think we find that in fact it's something that fortifies and enhances the stances and the convictions that we have, and we hopefully move forward from there.
Great.
There's something that I noticed. I won't call it a challenge. I like to call it an observation, because challenge means that's something that you can't overcome. I'm just finding that at the moment there seems to be a little bit of competition between multicultural communities, a bit of antagonism. People, different communities thinking that we should have a bigger voice. We should have a stronger voice. I mean, it shouldn't be a competition. We're all in it together. That's the only way we can work together, and we've got to unite and speak with one voice. Otherwise, if we don't, then we're going to be divided. So I think that's very important.
Thank you. I see the challenge is, what I'm getting is opportunity. Always accept a challenge, you will see the more opportunities. Sometimes you have some work or somewhere you go, and when I dress myself, oh, you are Hindu priest. When I see that Gurnam, oh, is a Sikh, is Christian. For me, I have to see myself as a Hindu priest, I have to dress up myself. So this is the big challenge to everyone. You have to, whatever your faith, you have to show it that I'm dressed up, then and then people can know me that from which faith. So we try to understand. First thing, challenge, so everyone have the challenge, but the first challenge you accept, you train your children first, then your community, then your country, then your all around you people. You talk with the people, you dialogue with the people and pass your message, then you will get back whatever they think about you, and then you discuss. Sometimes accept the challenges is give you the more opportunity to serve people that I'm getting.
Thank you. For me, the biggest challenge is having a balance between being an organization that is apolitical, non-religious, and yet having all of our communities coming from faith communities, from various diverse backgrounds, and faith in religion is so intrinsic and part of our daily lives. So from an organizational point of view, there is a huge challenge, and from a community's point of view, faith, I can see, is the most, as you were saying, religion and faith is part of our DNA, it's part of our culture. But from an organizational point of view, I find that a big challenge.
Thank you. I believe we live in a world with so much opportunity. There's so much to learn, so much to see, so many people to meet. And for me, the challenge is simply not enough time.
Wonderful.
That was short and sweet.
You're right.
The Christian Alliance Council of New South Wales, its aim is to bring Christians together. The first miracle was how it was started. A Muslim man named Muhammad in Rockdale Ramadan Festival came up to us and said, "Why don't you Christians ever do stuff together?" And standing behind me was the mayor of Rockdale at the time and Minister Steve Camper. Steve Camper was in shorts with a kebab in his hand. And then I said, "Can you go talk to Steve?" And Steve said, and then he calls Steve over and he says, "Steve, why don't you Christians ever get together? The Pentecostals are over there, the Baptists are there, the Catholics are here, the Orthodox are here. You never do stuff together." And Steve, right then and there, helped form the Christian Alliance Council of New South Wales. True story, miracle, my Muslim miracle. This is my Jewish miracle who's helped us as well. But here's my point. Our aim is to bring Christians together. That is the hardest job. And I'll give you an example of how hard it is. When we started off with one church, and now we have 35 denominations, 20 organisations. Our big kitchen is one of them, all on board, 55 in total. Catholic schools, New South Wales, this, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, one of the hardest was this one, and I'll tell you what we did. Bishop Macarius. Archbishop Macarius is the Greek Orthodox Bishop of Australia. And we went to him and said, "We want to hold hands and we want to get Christians together and not judge each other." And he goes, "There's no way. The Greeks aren't walking with you guys." And what we had to work out is I had to speak his language. So what did I do? I thought, who speaks Greek? So I got Steve on the phone. I go, "Steve, can you talk to Bishop Macarius about joining us?" He spoke to him in something in Greek. He finally joined and I said, "Steve, what did you say to him?" And he goes in English, in Greek, he said, What unifies us is far greater than what divides us. What unifies us is far greater than what divides us. Now, as a Christian, I use that, but as a brother, as a man, as a human, as a woman, as a father, I can use that everywhere. And I guess my main challenge to overcome is, one, have a connection, always have a connection and a relationship, and never stop and find a way. Find a way.
Very good.
I think some of the biggest challenges for me are ego, the need to be in control, the fear of not being right or not having what I want or need, and this thing. Because this we go walking every day with the dogs, and so many people are walking with their dog looking at their phone, not seeing the world around. It divides us because we live in our own little world. So I think the biggest thing to overcome is one-to-one relationship, or doing what Steve said, finding a project that's bigger than any of us, that pushes our ego down and allows us to work together on something good.
I feel is acceptance, because some people, we are sitting on the panel in the parliament, but a needy organization who's just doing first event, and are we accepting those people coming from different religious faith and different organization? So I personally feel, because I've seen in the young, youth is not connecting, they feel disconnected because they feel they are not invited such dialogue. Because I'm a youth advocate, so I only talk about youth. And that's what I feel when we connect with some young leaders. They say like, don't call us in somewhere where there's a religious conversation. And my dad always told me since I moved to Australia, this is like, you can do anything but don't part of any Gurdwara committee or some religious organization. Because you will be stuck forever. So that's, sometimes we make them feel that way, and that's stuck in your mind. But that's, I think, youth need more dialogues like this. And I think leaders like you, I think we should organize something just for youth. That will be making some, we're taking action from here.
That's
I think Rabbi, Christian, everyone we are here. I think Sam, you are the strong advocate for multicultural New South Wales chair. I think you should lead that. That's what I'm saying. You should lead it.
I see a lot of actions being formed right now on this panel. I'm going to combine the last two questions, and then we'll open it up to take a couple of questions from the audience. The question next is, and it's very moving to hear so many conversations around shared values, right? So what common values can bring people together, and looking ahead, what would you like to see our communities achieve with working together? Medium-term view, next 10 to 15 years. What's the view?
I agree with Gunnar. I think youth is the big thing. So I think we need to find a way to break down those barriers and get them together, get them talking, to meet each other, and to really, because unfortunately we're seeing them become more and more polarized and seeing things that are very much taking them away from the other, from what they see on the other problem that you mentioned, which is their phones.
I'll be very quick. I can see Nadeem sort of keep waving his arm about finishing. So sense of belonging. I really think that's very important, because if we all feel the sense of belonging, we all feel that we're part of Australia, we're Australian. So I'd like to just leave on that note, sense of belonging.
Beautiful, thank you.
I think I can say that when you see anyone, when you meet anyone, don't ask her your faith and religion, say hello, how are you?
Stereotyping is very important for me. I think it can heal a lot if there is no stereotyping. It can bring healing to a lot of communities as well.
The three types of relationships: dictatorial ones, where the dictator expects from the subjects. There are transactional, where people share with each other. And there's one which is much greater, deeper, and more spiritual, where two people come together not to impose, not to even share with each other, but how these two can help a third person. If we stop when we meet a new person and think not only what's in it for me, what's in it for us, but what can be in it for a person who we haven't met. That takes our relationship to another level.
Okay, so what's next? So what we have here, I agree with you. Let's do one for the young. Right here, in 6 months' time, we get the faith communities back again, but I've got a better suggestion than all of that, is that all the organisations and the churches in this location, we put our hands together to nominate a handful of people, influential youth, to come together. And we're looking at working on a project, and we hopefully go to multicultural. Our project is, and Rabbi David was going to be on board with this. It was a project basically to break bread, so have a barbecue with youth. And I find that not only is a barbecue, a lot of free food, kebab and hummus and tabbouleh and all these ethnic foods, that's one. But connect them with kids. If you're going to go with kids, then kids need sport. So as a teacher, I'm looking at doing something, and I'm happy to partner up, where we have a soccer tournament. And we say, okay, we're going to get all the Hindus and the Sikhs and the Aboriginals and the Jews and the Christians and the Muslims, but you're all going to be mixed in teams. You're going to have one colour from every part of the world. Everyone's going to pair up. You pair them up, and then you divide them. And they've got to work together, whether it be to have a meal together, but more importantly to have that sport. And I think that's how you're going to build those bridges, because boys especially, they don't understand dialogue. They're not going to talk. What are they going to talk about? How was it? Oh, it was good. What did you do? It was all right. The only way with boys is get some physical activity happening. So I'm happy to walk out of here right now, when we go over there to this table and have something to eat. Let's come up with a strategy to put all these people in one room, come up with an initiative to multicultural with Simon right here now. They'll fund it. They'll fund it. We only need $100,000. Biggest barbecue. And then we have it, and we have give them a big round. Oh, wow. Sign the contract. Sign the contract. We have a barbecue, play some sport, you build bridges, let's do it at an annual event, and let's make it big on TV. Yeah, use the NRL, use the soccer, whatever it may be. Amen.
Can be cricket.
No, cricket. Can't be cricket. It can't be cricket.
Can't beat that. But just on that question that's on the screen, I've got a poster at home that says, it quotes Jesus, do unto others what you would have them do unto you. And then it quotes the similar words in every other religion and faith. We actually have some deep commonalities. Everything I see in faith is about becoming a more deeply, truly human being. And when we can engender and encourage that nurturing of a deep spirit in each person, then we will all grow more mature and holy and more what we should be. And our differences then kind of disappear into the mystery of being in that space of love, of life, of God, I think that's what we need to do as well. We live in a very secular age that denies that. We need to encourage and nurture that in the world.
So beautiful, thank you.
I think shared future build on today's present. And the present we take action like what you have mentioned. I think this is very important. We should build something. Maybe we should have another dialogue in the one room with all the leaders just to talk about how and what is comfortable for people. Because everyone is a different, like example, I talk about barbecue. When you bring Indian community to the barbecue, not many people come to the barbecue. Because the barbecue for Aussie is like a sausage and roll, and they don't eat beef. So, and then again there is so we have to shift somewhere culturally, understand that it's not just we are doing something for one community, but if we want to do it, we have to understand and respect and get the idea, like, what is really good in your community, like what we can do together. So I think dialogue is open, Simon. The ball is in your court. Now we have to hit the 6, not 4. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. The best. I
think the best panels are also working meetings, and this has turned into a bit of a working meeting. Thank you very much. I think what we will do, because I think we have exceeded time. Any questions? You can catch our lovely panelists somewhere in the room and ask your questions. I did want to say that, you know, in such challenging times, conversations like this give all of us hope. And everyone in this room, I think, is sort of, you know, resonating with what you've said, is going away with something important, something they can do tomorrow. So thank you very much for sharing all of your wisdom and your lived experience. And thank you again, Indians in Sydney, for organizing.
Thank you, Nandini, and to all our panelists.
One thing. Thank you. I think this is a very good stage to tell people like what exactly we're doing. Me and Nadine, we came up with the idea when there is a anti-Indian racism really happen and all. And we have seen there's a lot of racism, all this happening, and we have seen somewhere what is happening, how we can actually, you know, tackle. And when we go to the police for some event and they said that, you know, we can't do anything because there's not many people are reporting. And reporting is a big issue with the NSW police and every Australian police. So we came up with the idea to create a reporting platform. A reporting platform that will helping the NSW police to identify what is the crime and where they have to work. So this is called Safe Speak. Because when I went to the Minister of Police and the police, they mentioned that we already have a platform called Crime Stopper. And Southeast Asian community, when we heard the word of crime, we don't want to go nearby them. It's scary already. No crime, we don't want crime, right? So we come up with the idea that, you know, we should create a platform that community can maybe suffering from domestic violence, scam, so many things. That it will be a platform. It's coming soon, and we would like you to, you know, support us and sign an MOU with us. So your organization or any organization can actually, you know, endorse us. It's a free app for people, but it's actually helping people safe in the community.
Thank you. Can I just add to that? I'm not sorry to interrupt. If you guys, if you don't mind, another way is when we walk out of here through social media, when you share this post, that all of us promote how important this is. So it's no good if just the Indian community of Sydney are posting it out and you're just here having some free food and some coffee. The point is, the point is for you to promote it on your networks. Whatever your networks are, wherever we are, wherever you go, keep promoting peace and harmony.
Let's share it. Let's make a hashtag called Shared Future.
Oh, I like it.
Let's make a hashtag for Shared Future. Whatever you're posting on Instagram and social media, just put hashtag Shared Future. So people will post anything and we can see each other what is Shared Future.
Send it out.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any question?
Thank you, everyone. I think big round of applause for all our panelists once again. I would now warmly like to invite Ashik Rahman, Tim James, MP Kumud Mirani, and Warren Kirby to please hand over a token of appreciation to all our lovely panelists.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
You spoke very well. Thank you so much.
Thank you. What's your name?
Kumud Mirani.
Kumud. I love what you're wearing. It's so beautiful. It looks almost royal. Almost royal.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Beautiful voice.
Did you want to get a good photo? Thank you. Let's get wait, I think you should get come to the photo. Can we have a group photo? Okay.
We can do the photo.
Yeah, we can do it now.
Yeah, we can do it now. We're all here.
All right. Wait, I think which way? Hold on. Simon. Guys, can we come in there? Do you want to go in the middle? Let's come in the middle.
There's a light. There is a light.
But if we...
You can come closer, guys.
On your shoulder.
Like we move around to that.
All the short people in the front.
Some people can sit on the table, please.
I'm very tall. I should go to the back.
Let's go.
Guys, can we come over here? Sir, come around.
That's all right.
All right. 1, 2, 3. A couple of phone waiting.
So share picture, right?
Yes. Hashtag share feature.
Oh, yeah, you have to back on your face. Yeah.
Thank you.
Away from
Thank you.
And share the picture too.
Very kind.
May I please request everyone to be seated, please?
Great. I think I had also heard you at the welcoming.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it was at
Yes.
May I please request everyone to be seated so I can invite our next speaker for tonight? We'll be having some networking towards the end of the event. Once everyone is seated, I would like to invite our next speaker for tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, now I would warmly welcome our next speaker, Mr. Tim James MP, member for Willoughby, and a dedicated advocate for strong communities, responsible governance, and local government. And thank you, Tim, for all the patience tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, thank you. Thank you so very much. You've sat patiently for, two and a quarter hours. You've just had a fantastic panel session. So, of course, you want to hear a long speech from a politician right now. So you're very excited for it, no question. But I'm actually going to be very, very brief. That was an amazing panel. I was thinking to myself, God bless this panel. What a powerful, beautiful, hopeful discussion. I really thought that was magnificent. At the same time, I was cursing the panel a little bit because it was running over time and I'm running late for something and conscious of the hour. But that was really beautifully done. And I think so many of the answers lie right there in that discussion. So I need not go on for very long. But I think, can I say this? Firstly, to the Indian community, to you, Nadeem, Ghanam, all of you, friends, ladies and gentlemen, you are a beautiful, respected, appreciated community. So much has been contributed and will be contributed by you to Australia, our values, our way of life and who we are as a people, to our culture. It goes way, way beyond, as has been said so many times, it goes way beyond curry, cricket and the Commonwealth, of course. And we're grateful to you and proud of you and only very, very grateful to be working with you. In my area, the fastest growing community is the Indian community. And I think that would be so across so many parts of New South Wales, and that's a beautiful thing. More broadly, I love the hashtag shared future. I was thinking about what is it that brings us together, that binds people across faith, across ethnicity, across all corners of the earth, and I think it is to share. I mean, when my three children are fighting, which they do from time to time, they're 11, 8 and 4, how do you stop that? Well, you find something they can share. You find something that brings them together, that unites them, that they want to turn to because they can share it. And I think that is so true for humanity. And so whether it is food or sport or indeed, perhaps most importantly, an appreciation for who we are as a country. And I think in Australia, we are so incredibly fortunate. In my view, this is the best country in the world. It's not perfect. Our history is not bloodless nor flawless. But we have grown and matured and developed so much, and we're such a wonderful multicultural success story. But in this country, I think what we share most is an appreciation of democracy, of equality, of decency, of tolerance, of love, of country, of enterprise, of environment, and so much more. And if we ever take those values for granted, particularly equality and democracy, I think we're in trouble. And the Australia that I know and love has no place for racism. The Australia that I know and love has no place for importing overseas wars and conflicts and bringing them to our shore. The Australia that I know and love, to be honest with you, does not have rolling protests every weekend. The Australia that I know and love is tolerant and welcoming and warm and generous towards all people from all corners of the earth. And I think that's something that we all share. And so hashtag shared future, and let's go forward together. Thank you so much. Good luck and God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim, for reminding all of us that sharing is caring. We keep forgetting, but it's time to remember that sharing is caring. Up next, I would like to invite Nit from Laos community to please hand over a token of appreciation to Tim, please.
Now we need to present to Warren.
After this. A final vote of thanks from Gurnam Singh.
Thank you once again, everyone, for joining us. And a big thanks to Warren. Warren, you are a true legend. A champion of the community. A big round of applause for Warren. You know, everyone in the community comes to you. You do help without politics. And that's the beauty and that's the community. Because of your effort, I think community have a unity. And that's why I think this place have been filled with the different people, religious, caste, culture. And again, we have a very important dialogue that actually need it right now. And I also would like to thank each and everyone who have joined us. I think I don't want to start the names because I might forget one and then it will be a trouble. But all the respected organizations come from each and every part of the Sydney. I think I can see Liverpool, Camden, everywhere. Campbelltown. See, everyone is here, and let's work together to build, this community stronger. I think Australia is a very beautiful country, very, very diverse country, but we still have more to offer. And being as a migrant community, I think we also understand what is the real value Australia shared, and understanding Australian culture too. Not just we just going to tell people, Warren is a white guy, Tim is a white guy, you come to our event. But you also start going to understand the culture and the respect for Australians. So thank you so much once again, and let's and that is not a future, this is a shared future, the hashtag. Let's build a better future and better understanding with each and everyone. And also, if I won't say thanks to Nadine, he will be killing me later down the track. But no, I think he's very emotional. He's very, very emotional. And he come up with the idea, so many things. I think I have to stop him somewhere that, you can't be too kind. You can be a kind, but you have to be kind to people that people in need. Because people often take advantage. And that's where we are. I think we just thank you once again. Nadeem, you have to say something?
We need to say thank you to
Warren. Warren, you are coming again. We haven't facilitated you, or you just closing down with you because thank you, Warren. I'm just saying, let him finish.
Yeah.
Let's finish off.
Well, folks, you've got me again. Thank you so much. I think we've had some really interesting dialogue tonight, and one of the things that I do want to leave everybody with to just have a bit of a reflection on, almost everything that we need to know is encapsulated in 2 lines in the second verse of our national anthem. For those who've come across the seas, we've boundless plains to share. But the next line, which is critical, with courage, let us combine, not assimilate, not leave all of your heritage behind, but combine to advance Australia Fair. There's everything there that we need to know, and by really taking that to heart and singing it loudly and proudly at every event of where the national anthem is played, I implore each and every one of you to make sure that that second verse is included in any events, but to sing it loudly and proudly and really take to heart what those words mean, because we can encapsulate much of the wisdom that we have seen from extraordinary leaders across a wide variety of faiths in those two lines in our national anthem. So thank you so much for being here this evening. Thank you so much for your attention, your really getting involved in what this dialogue is, and most of all, each and every one of you going away and sharing that knowledge with your individual communities and sharing that knowledge with your friends. One question on that panel that I wanted to add a little bit of input into, when we were asked about, what is a practical measure to come together. And I said this when I first stood up. We looked towards the things that unite us. So if you come against somebody who is anti things, play a little game. You tell me what's different, I'll tell you what's the same. And I guarantee you'll be going much longer than the person who is picking out the differences of the things that we have in common and the things that we can use to unite us, to bring us together. Have a great evening, everybody.
Moses from Sohas Charity, if you can please present a token of appreciation to Warren.
No, because you stayed for long.
वरना करना है अब करना है आपका करना है Thank you so much, everyone. There is one person I would like to thank, because the event won't be possible without these people. Can I have please big round of applause for our MC for tonight, Ekta Kapoor. And can I get please Tim James MP and Warren Kirby to felicitate and give a certificate of appreciation to Ekta. And also, there is another person we would like to thank. That's our moderator for tonight, Nandini Sen Mehra. Without her, it won't be possible at all. Can I please have a big round of applause for Nandini? And Nandini, can you come here, please? Nandini. Just one more.
It never ends.
And our friend, Mr. Samay Jain, please. Samay Jain. Samay Jain has been a pillar of support all the time as well. There is one more.
I just have to steal this. On behalf of our Indians in Sydney, I'd like to say 3 cheers to Nadeem. Hip hip! Hip hip! Hip hip! And here's a small... I know. Thank you for doing it. Got it? There. Thank you. You come back. I'll bring you a gift. Thank you. Because you've done something cute. Thank you. I'll see you soon.
And our photographer, Jasmeet Singh, as well, please.